5 years ago, my entire family laughed at me across the dinner table. Not a small laugh. Not the kind people make when something is mildly funny. I mean the kind of laugh that makes your stomach drop. The kind that makes you wish the ground would open and swallow you whole. My cousin Jason was laughing so hard he almost dropped his drink. My aunt covered her mouth like she was trying to be polite, but she wasn't hiding it very well. And my uncle actually leaned back in his chair and said something that I will never forget. He said, "Wait, say that again. I want to make sure I heard you correctly." My face was burning, but I repeated it anyway. "I want to become a filmmaker." The room exploded again. Jason pulled out his phone and pointed the camera at me. "Oh, this is gold," he said between laughs. "Future Hollywood director right here." Everyone laughed louder. But the moment that hurt the most didn't come from my cousin or my uncle. It came from my father. He didn't laugh. He just stared at me with disappointment. Then he slowly shook his head and said something that shattered me. "Emma, stop embarrassing this family." I remember that moment like it happened yesterday. The smell of dinner still in the air. The sound of forks touching plates. The feeling of everyone staring at me like I had just said the most ridiculous thing in the world. But the truth was, I had never been more serious in my life. Ever since I was a little girl, I loved stories. While other kids played outside, I was sitting in front of the TV studying movies. I wasn't just watching them. I was analyzing them. Why did certain scenes make people cry? Why did certain moments give you chills? How did a simple story make millions of strangers feel the same emotions? To me, storytelling felt like magic. And I wanted to create that magic. But in my family, dreams like that were considered unrealistic. In our house, there were only 3 acceptable careers: doctor, lawyer, or business owner. My father owned a small logistics company, and he had one clear plan for my future. I would go to business school, graduate, and eventually help run the company. It was a safe plan, a practical plan, but it wasn't my plan. And that night at the dinner table was the first time I openly challenged it. "I'm serious," I said quietly. "I want to go to film school." Jason laughed again. "Oh my God, she's serious." My aunt gave me a sympathetic smile. "Oh, sweetheart. Filmmaking is a hobby, not a career." My uncle leaned forward. "Do you know how many people fail in that industry?" I tried to explain. I told them I had been learning online. I told them I had been writing scripts. I told them I had even started filming small projects with my phone. But they didn't hear any of it. To them, my dream was nothing more than a joke. My father finally ended the conversation with one sentence. "You are not wasting thousands of dollars chasing a childish fantasy." That was the moment my dream officially became the family joke. Every time someone mentioned my future after that, Jason would say something like, "Careful guys, Emma might cast us in her next blockbuster." Everyone would laugh. But what they didn't know was that something inside me had changed. Because humiliation can do 2 things. It can destroy you, or it can light a fire inside you. And that night, a fire started burning in my chest. I stopped arguing with them. I stopped trying to explain myself. Instead, I made a quiet decision. If they wouldn't believe in me, I would prove them wrong. But I would do it silently. No announcements. No arguments. Just work. Relentless work. During the day, I became the perfect business student. But every night, I became something else. A storyteller. While my classmates were out partying, I was in my room learning editing software. While everyone else slept, I was writing scripts. While my family believed I had given up my dream, I was quietly building it. And slowly, little by little, my life started changing. But before things could truly turn around, my family would humiliate me one more time. And that moment would become the turning point that changed everything. 2 years later, something unexpected happened. One night, after finishing a small short film I had been working on for weeks, I decided to upload it online. It wasn't perfect. The lighting wasn't great. The camera was just my phone. And the actors were my friends. But the story meant something to me. It was about a girl chasing a dream that everyone around her thought was impossible. I uploaded the video. And honestly, I expected nothing. Maybe a few friends would watch it. Maybe a few strangers. But nothing big. Then the next morning I woke up and checked my phone. First I thought something was wrong. My notifications were exploding. Messages, comments, shares. I opened the video, and my heart nearly stopped. It had thousands of views. Not dozens. Thousands. Strangers were commenting things like, "This gave me chills. This story hit me so hard. You're incredibly talented." For the first time in my life, people believed in something I created. But the happiness didn't last long, because somehow my cousin Jason found the video. And of course he sent it to the family group chat. That evening my phone rang. It was my father. "Come home this weekend," he said. His voice sounded serious. When I arrived, the entire family was sitting in the living room. My uncle, my aunt, Jason, even my grandparents. My uncle held up his phone. "Is this your video?" I nodded. Jason smirked. "So the Hollywood fantasy is still alive." My father looked angry. "I thought we made ourselves clear about this." "I'm still studying business," I said calmly. "This is just something I do in my free time." But my aunt shook her head. "No, Emma. This is obsession." Then my father said something that cut deeper than any laugh. "If you keep embarrassing this family online, don't expect our support." Embarrassing them for following my dream. Something inside me finally snapped. I stood up and looked directly at him. "One day," I said quietly, "you're going to regret saying that." The room went silent. Jason laughed again. But this time, their laughter didn't hurt, because something had changed. I no longer needed their approval. From that moment forward, I decided something. I would build my future without them. The next 3 years were the hardest of my life. I worked 2 jobs, finished my business degree, and every single night I worked on filmmaking. No excuses, no breaks, just work. Slowly, my videos started growing online. 10,000 views, 50,000, 100,000. And then one night, everything changed. I uploaded a new short film. Within 2 days, it hit 2 million views. Messages started flooding my inbox. Brands, agencies, production companies. Then one message changed my life. A streaming company wanted to talk about a storytelling project. I stared at the email for almost 10 minutes before replying, because in that moment, the dream everyone laughed at was finally becoming real. But the biggest twist in my story was still coming, because 5 years later, the same family who mocked me would suddenly need my help. 5 years passed faster than I ever imagined. The girl who once edited videos alone in her bedroom was now creating stories watched by millions of people. The streaming project turned into a full storytelling series. That series turned into more opportunities, more projects, more collaborations. Slowly but surely, my dream was becoming a career. And the craziest part? Most of the people watching my work had no idea who I was. They just knew the stories. Stories about ambition, failure, redemption, dreams. Ironically, the same themes that once made my family laugh. During those years, my relationship with my family became distant. Not dramatic, just quiet. We barely spoke. They never mentioned my work. And I never brought it up. It was easier that way. But one afternoon, everything changed. I was sitting in my apartment editing a project when my phone rang. The name on the screen made my heart skip. "Mom." We hadn't spoken in almost 2 years. I answered slowly. "Hello." Her voice sounded nervous. "Emma, can we talk?" Something felt wrong immediately. "What happened?" There was a long pause. Then she said something that shocked me. "Your father's business is failing." Apparently, the company had made several bad financial decisions. Contracts fell through. Debt piled up. The company that had supported our family for years was on the edge of collapse. Then my mother said something I never expected to hear. "Your father wants to see you." At that moment, everything suddenly made sense. They weren't calling because they missed me. They were calling because they needed help. The girl they once mocked had somehow become successful enough to be their last option. A week later, I drove back to the same house where they once laughed at my dream. Nothing had changed. Same street, same porch, same door. But everything felt different. When I walked inside, the living room was silent. My father looked older, tired, defeated. For a moment nobody spoke. Then he finally said something I never imagined hearing. "Emma, we were wrong." Hearing those words felt surreal. For years I had imagined this moment. I imagined feeling victorious, proud, satisfied. But the truth was, I mostly felt quiet. My uncle avoided eye contact. My aunt looked uncomfortable. Jason didn't say a word. Then my father spoke again. "We need your help." Those 4 words carried years of irony. Years ago, I begged them to believe in me. Now they were asking for my help. Life has a strange way of turning things around. I could have said no. I could have reminded them of every cruel word they ever said. Every laugh. Every joke. Every moment they made me feel small. But instead I asked one simple question. Do you finally understand what it feels like when nobody believes in you? My father slowly nodded. For the first time in my life, I saw tears in his eyes. And in that moment I realized something important. Revenge isn't always about destroying the people who doubted you. Sometimes the strongest revenge is simply becoming the person they said you could never be. Today my relationship with my family is still complicated. Some wounds take time to heal. But one thing has changed forever. They never laugh at my dreams anymore. Now they proudly tell people, "That's our daughter." Funny how life works. The girl they once mocked across the dinner table became the person the world listens to. If you stayed with me until the end of this story, thank you. Now I want to ask you something. Has anyone in your life ever laughed at your dreams? Maybe a friend, a teacher, or even someone in your own family. If that has ever happened to you, tell me your story in the comments. And remember this, sometimes the people who doubt you the most are the same people who will one day watch your success in silence. And if you enjoy powerful stories like this, make sure you subscribe to the channel, because your story might be the next one that inspires millions.